Hi, this is Dee Kayalar with USD's Career Development Center. Welcome to Alumni Zoom Trips, our virtual webcast series with USD alumni experts about how to navigate the long-term impact of COVID-19 on our communities and workplaces. This program is co-hosted with the Office of Alumni Relations. Joining me today is Melanie Lococo. Melanie holds a bachelor's in English from USD and an MS in Vocational Rehabilitation Counseling from SDSU. She has also studied in the honors program at Oxford University in England. Melanie has had such a wide-ranging career as an educator, trainer, counselor, community organizer, events planner, media specialist, advocate, and more recently, a children's book author. Having been raised as an adoptee in a multicultural family, she has a special passion for and expertise in supporting the needs of adopted, foster, and blended families in multicultural settings. Currently, she serves as communications director for an Escondido-based medical devices company. Melanie, it's such a pleasure to have you joining us this morning. How are you?
Thank you, Dee. It is a pleasure to meet you, and I'm feeling great. Hope you are too.
Thank you so much. So, can you tell us how you got started in your career?
Yes, well, a lot of it has to do with USD and the values that I learned at USD. I loved going to that campus. My father had just passed away when I was a senior in high school. So I wanted to, and I lived in Coronado with my mom, and I really didn't want to leave her. I wanted to stay with her, watch out for her. And so I decided to go to a school nearby, USD. And thank goodness they accepted me and was able to actually, drive back and forth. I was a commute student. So I missed out on the experience of living there and so forth, but I really gained a lot from spending time with my mom. So I found out very early in life that a career is a calling, but you can have very many jobs or expressions, but your career is really comes from your voice, your vocade, your vocation. And what I found that my career has to do always, as I help my mom, is helping other people. And I learned that from USD. You can be so successful in life, but have you helped people? So it's important to be a successful counselor or businesswoman and always include other people. So I got my career started actually working with people out of prison. And because I had a history, my father, I really rarely share this with people, um, but I'll share this with my USD community and so forth. My father was a very devoted man and very successful entrepreneur in Los Angeles. And we had a restaurant, we had that people from all over would come. We had many movie stars too coming to our restaurants called Cockatoo Inn, very famous landmark in Hawthorne, California. And we had a hotel with like 120 rooms. And I learned very early on to be of service, that it was all about customer service. And when my father, he was from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and kind of on the tough side of the street sometimes. And they he actually had an experience where he said something that was not true, and he spent time in prison. And at that time, we lost the business, we lost everything. And he had been like my rock, my knight in shining armor. And I said, I am going to spend part of my life helping people that have spent time in prison or jail, because they don't need to be there. And so I actually, that was my first job out of college. My very first job, even though I got my teaching credential, I did teach people, ex-offenders, basically how to be resilient. And I said, my life is one of being a teacher and a mentor. And my father, to this day, I've written because I'm also adopted, I wrote a poem for him. It's called "Dads Are More Than DNA," and it has to do with that it's not just the cellular makeup, but it's actually the soulful makeup. And he loved me unconditionally, and so my career has taken different places, but it's always been the foundation of serving people and including other people in your success. And that's one of the things that I learned from USD.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh my gosh, I've heard so many things, but most importantly, it sounds like your personal experiences have really driven your career journey. Obviously, it's all focused on helping other people. Leading a life of service, knowing your why, and knowing that sense of purpose. So, thank you for sharing that poignant story. And what has been COVID's impact on you personally and professionally?
That's a very good question. And this COVID-19 experience has been both a blessing and a burden. At first, when it happened, I felt, oh gosh, now I can rest and rejuvenate and go within, be more creative. I wrote my second book. It's going to be coming out next month, Jump Joey Jump. Collaborating.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I want to send one to you. Okay. Um, and
Is it also a children's book, Melanie?
yes, yes, it
Is
is.
another
Yes,
children?
it is.
Okay.
It's another children's book. We've got I Am Light, I Am Bright right here. But the COVID experience in the blessing part of it is that could spend more time with my family and also go more within. So I prayed more, I meditated more. The distractions of I get very distracted and enthusiastic with people, so it can sometimes zap my energy. So this time has been actually a really positive experience for me, except I miss my family and my friends. As I mentioned, I miss hugging them and kissing them and you know. However, I found that I've been more creative and more in touch with God. So that's one thing. Professionally, I decided that I wanted to learn as much as I could. And I took a 12-week course that is complimentary. And I'd like to share that with the community because it helped me to learn how to be professional, poised, and powerful in the video setting, within the virtual setting, which is what we're doing right now. And probably before COVID, I would have done a video, but it wouldn't have been as professional. And now I have polished videos. I spend time every day with my social media. I spend every day developing new trainings. I'm a trainer. I train for the County of San Diego through the Balanced Life Institute, and also work with Fallbrook Engineering on products for COVID, actually, to decontaminate masks. So it's all in the giving profession. But I found that this time, if used wisely, can be very beneficial. So this VIP mastery course, which is complimentary, and I wanted to share that with everybody, teaches you about lighting, teaches you about how to sit up, how to present, and you keep practicing. And practice makes perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect.
So I'm
So
really
we keep
intrigued about
practicing.
that. What were some of your key takeaways from
Well,
attending these sessions?
yes, yes. Well, their coach, they're fabulous. It's Marie Nung and Ray Dupre. They're with the VIP Mastery Group. What I learned right away was that it's important to be authentic. But
Mhm.
we can be so afraid of the camera and be so afraid, but that authenticity can come through when we practice and in a loving, supportive group. So that's what's been really great is not only do I have the training and the mentors that have interviewed people like Stevie Wonder, Dionne Warwick, just amazing people. and they've learned how to do that. And then they coach you, they teach you how to do that so that you're still yourself. And yet you know that it's important where the eyes are, how the lighting is, what you wear, your branding. And in
Mhm.
this time of COVID-19, where everything is virtual, you need to be on the top of your game. You need to shine your light,
Mhm.
right? In such a
Mhm.
way that when people see you, they go, wow, she knows what she's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. He looks great. He sounds great. She's very dynamic and natural at the same time. So I would say that that is really important for everyone to know, to learn during this time, and
It-
also to be creative. I think that's an important thing as well. As I mean, I have followed some of the greatest marketers. There's a fellow by the name of Brandon Bouchard, who is with Hay House. I worked with Hay House, a fabulous company, the number one self-help company
Mhm.
in the world.
Mhm.
Are you familiar? You're familiar. You're
Yeah,
going like this.
Louise Hay. Yes,
Yes,
I
Louise
grew up
Hay.
with her books in my 20s and 30s. Loved it. Yeah.
Yes, me too. Me too. And I met her. We became great friends, and I traveled the world with her. So I learned firsthand from Louise Hay. Matter of fact, my book after Jump Joey Jump
Mhm.
is a book on my lessons and adventures with Louise Hay. It's called Loving Life to the Last Lick.
Oh,
Lessons and
Melanie, I
adventures.
have to definitely get that and read that. That's amazing. And it's so interesting you mentioned that, Melanie, because just the other day I flipped through Hayes' book that she had published in the 1990s, where in the back she talked about the relationship between our emotional well-being and our physical well-being, where she listed a number of, recurring physical ailments that we might notice in ourselves and what might be the emotional reasons underlying them. So anyhow, someone that I definitely adore and love.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. It was her very first book. She
Mhm.
called it her little blue book, Heal Your Life.
Mhm.
And a short story, real short story. I was with her in New York, and
Mhm.
we were taking a cab from one place to another. I think we were going to lunch. And the cab driver said, "Are you Louise Hay?" And she said, "Yes, I am." And she goes, "I keep your book with me. I the healing book, the little book.
Mhm.
I keep it with me under in my glove compartment for people that may be hurting or have illnesses or whatever.
Mhm.
And then I give it to them to help them along their way." This is a taxi cab driver.
There
I
you go.
mean, in New York. So
Yeah.
Louise said, "Melanie, get her address and information and send her some books."
Mhm.
When I
Mhm.
got back to the office, made sure that this cab driver had 25 books.
Oh my God,
That's the
that's
kind of
so
person
sweet.
Louise Hay is.
Yeah. So going back to the communication seminars that you mentioned, it actually ties in very nicely with something else I wanted to ask you, which is, what advice would you have for our recent graduates and our alumni who are in career transition, who are preparing for virtual job interviews? Because you mentioned the importance of controlling our external environment, right? From the lighting to the way that our posture, so on and so forth. So, what top advice would you have for people who are preparing for virtual interviews?
Well, Dee, there are inner and outer tips. Okay. So the inner tips are to relax. And every day, for instance, I pray and I meditate before my feet touch the ground on my bed, outside my bed. I am in prayer and thanksgiving to God. And so to be centered in that, first of all, and to have a practice, have a life practice, whether it be prayer, although prayer is very good, reading positive thoughts, um, listening to great music, uh, adorning yourself with things that you love, eating healthfully. These things are really, really important. they're part of the interview. And if you think of an interview of interviewing, because that's been my career as I have a master's degree in voc rehab, and it's always been about helping people with their career. But career is more your life path. So your career is also included in self-care. So these virtual interviews have to be, not only are they interviewing you, you're interviewing them. And so it's important to be in a connection, to be in synergy, to be in alignment with the company that you want to work with, or the team that you want to work with, or as a lot of millennials say now, millennials, your tribe, you know.
Mhm.
So who do you resonate with? That's very important before you even go to this interview. Okay. That's an important value. So you can have all the lighting, you can have all that, but if you're not really connected to that organization or that group, then it really doesn't make that much difference. But I think it's really important. The advice is to do your homework, do your research. Are these people that you can really want to work with? What's a value, and what value can I give to them? And when I talk to employers, they say the number one quality that they look for. What do you think the number one quality could be, Dee? I want to ask you.
Yeah, I would say maybe their coachability and willingness to learn.
Yes,
Mhm.
that is definitely uh, on the top five.
Mhm.
Okay, but the
Mhm.
first quality that when I talk to employers, Fortune 5,
Passion,
pardon me,
passion.
passion is one too. Passion
Mhm.
is definitely on the top five. But I'd say the number one quality is reliability.
Mhm.
Because you can have the passion, you can have all this, but if you're not there, if you don't show up, if you don't, get on the playing field and
Mhm.
participate,
Mhm.
then what's the point? So reliability is the first thing
Mhm.
for people to learn, to be solid, to be there, to show up, to have integrity. That's really important. And then the other things, the passion and
Mhm.
the ability, the willingness to learn is really up there too.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I loved how you mentioned the importance of giving value and
Yes.
articulating to others what our value added to them could be. Because
Yes.
I think we're so, we sometimes take each other for granted and we approach others for advice and for insights, but then we never sort of, think about what we can offer them, right? And what we can, how we can contribute towards their work and efforts.
Yes. It's actually, if you think about, let's say the group that you're, or the organization, think about it like this is your organization. And so there's skin in the game. I mean, really think about it. I'm going to spend time here. And if I'm going to spend time here, I'm going to give my 100%. I'm going to give my soul work. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to participate. I'm going to contribute. And what always happens is other doors open.
100%. And now I see in the back of you, I am light and I'm bright. And I'm very interested. First of all, congratulations on publishing.
Thank
I'm
you.
light, I'm bright. And also, I know there is a new one on the way. So, can you tell our listeners about that journey? How did it happen? Any learning moments for you?
Oh, sure, sure. Thanks, Dee. Well, first of all, I want to thank USD for helping me to understand the value of writing, because I was an English major. And although I took many other courses in world religions and so forth, psychology, I was an English major, and I studied at Oxford University for my junior year, which was fabulous. And I always had a story inside of me. And everybody has a story. Okay. So I encourage everyone to write a story. This particular story came out of, I had it in my heart for a long time, and it came out of the feeling that I am adopted, and I'm biracial, and my parents love me unconditionally. My family does too, but I always felt a little bit different. I always felt like sometimes I didn't fit in. I didn't look like the other kids. I didn't, I just didn't, I felt less than. and I felt sad and lonely at times because no one looked like me. So I had this little story in my heart about a star that lost his family in a star storm, and that other stars taught this little star how to shine their light, because stars have a purpose, which is to help travelers in the dark of night find their way home. That's how the travelers, they did with the, with all the telescopes and everything in the early days. And I thought, there's so many people, both children that are lost and sad and separated from their families. We see it right now.
Mhm.
But there's also people that are, such as parents or foster parents or adoptive parents, even our teachers. I mean, I remember Sister Sar at USD, my Spanish teacher. I loved her so much. She was like a parent to me, that they can also be stars, and that it really is a community. And
Mhm.
so I collaborated with a woman who came to me who was quite depressed because she lost her monetization on Google. Anyway, I won't just tell you that Sarah B and I collaborated together. Now, Sarah is on the autism spectrum,
Mhm.
and I've spent years working with people with disabilities. And
Mhm.
I am a certified autism specialist.
Mhm.
And because she had so much talent and ability, but she wasn't using it. Okay, she
Mhm.
wasn't using it. She was a janitor by trade, but
Mhm.
she had gone to school to be an artist. And so I asked her if she would like to read my story. She was kind of depressed, and I just went, oh my goodness, Sarah, would you like to read my story and see if that might be something you might like to illustrate it? And she said, yes, I'd love to do that. So she read it and let me know, I'd really like to illustrate this for you, Melanie. So I
Mhm.
said, well, we've got to find out one thing. We've got to get permission from your family. And
Mhm.
then also, I need to pay you for this, and I need to pay you well for your
Mhm.
time. And we got permission to do that. So we collaborated, Dee, on this
That's
lovely,
great.
lovely book that it's an affirmation that everyone has light inside and everyone can be bright. And that no matter what happens, whether one is bullied, there's a story about being bullied, you can go within, close your eyes, concentrate on your heart, and say, I am light, I am bright, I guide travelers home at night. I glow, I glow. And this little star then becomes shines her light, and then she gets called to do a very special mission, which is to help other people from around the world.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And it seems like, when there is that passion, everything really lines up perfect and just kind of brings
Yes,
the people and the resources that you need to really
yes,
fully
yes.
execute that. And how did you find the publishers? How did you connect with, like, what was the journey into actually getting out in bookstores and out there to people?
Yes. Well, Louise taught me well, Louise Hay, because when she got her book published, which she self-published basically,
Mm,
and used staples to staple her books, and she would hand them out to different Unity churches and religious science churches and friends and
mhm,
everything.
mhm,
She sold them in the back of her back seat. What I did was, instead of going with the big publishers, this is my very first time, I said, I'm going to self-publish.
mhm,
So I decided to get everything together. Synchronicity happens. I met a gentleman who is wonderful, Tim,
mhm,
and he put together, graphic artist, fabulous, and he put together my book and then put it on Amazon. So it's on Amazon as a self-published book. His name is Tim Britton. You can look him up, Google him,
mhm,
Brittain. Lovely. And he helped me every step of the way. So I had kind of like a book Sherpa, to help me up the big hill, the mountain. And then it was up to me basically to promote it. So
mhm.
I would go to bookstores, knock on the door, ask them, would you like some books? I'd sell them, went to children's bookstores in Del Mar, Sandcastle Tales. They said, yes, we'd love to buy. They bought some, then got them. So everything worked in place. It was like the light went on, like, I am light, I am bright. This message is meant to be. And then I said, how can I get it out to more people? So I actually offered it as an auction item for a nonprofit gala, because everything's virtual. And I said, how can I share the book virtually with children? And I offered it as a Zoom read along. And there's a song that's going to be produced coming out pretty soon, a read along, sing along for children. So you have to think outside of the box when you're an author. It's not, you just don't get a publisher and then the publisher says, oh, okay, I'm just going to do this everything for you. You have to establish your platform and your social media. You have to reach out. You have to share it and to give it away a lot. It's kind of like, it's like your card, your calling card. So there is a possibility, of course, that, one of the biggies, Random House or whatever, could pick it up, and that would be fine. But right now, I want it to be in the hands and hearts of families and parents all over San Diego, and in homeless shelters, in Polinsky Center, part of, I'd love it in part of the Feeding USA, put it in the along with the food, because not only is it food for our bodies, but this is food for our heart and our soul. So as an author, as a mentor, as a counselor, as a wonderful alum of USD, using the values of giving back, this is what I've done. You have to walk your talk. And as Mother Teresa would say, do things in an extraordinary way. Do little things in an extraordinary way. So that's what we have to do. We have to
And I
share.
don't know if you're aware, but we do have a Tino Teroros sort of a book club. So I'll make, I would love to actually let my colleague know to read I'm Light, I'm Bright to our little Teroros, because I think it would be a great, great addition to that little tiny book club.
Thank you. I'd love to read it myself, actually, because I there's different characters, and so I.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we need to collaborate on that for sure. So switching from one thing to another, but right now, you're also the communications director for a medical devices company in Escondido. And are you currently working remotely?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're working remotely.
Okay. And what helpful tips might you have for those of us who are working remotely during this time?
Yes. Well, the first thing is that you need to have really good internet. Okay. That's really, really important. Working remotely, you make sure that your Zoom, that everything is organized that way, and also that you connect with your people. So for instance, we start our staff meeting with a positive thought. Okay, this is the thought. And then we go around and ask, what are some, a positive thing that's happened? I mean, we could focus on the negative, but why go there, really? So everybody, it's a small team. There's 6 of us. So we go and talk about something positive that happened during the week. So we'll have staff meetings once a week. And then we're all organized. Everybody has the notes in advance, and we go through those notes and updates and so forth. And if we need to share the screen, we'll share the screen. But the main thing is to be connected, is to really be connected, and to know that anybody's available through, the phone, or if you want to do another Zoom call, or the best ways to be connected during the day, and even on the evenings. And we've had, there's been times when a staff person's really needed a lot of help. We've even, been able to help on the weekend too. But it's keeping that connection virtually, and to know that we're all together in this, and that we appreciate each other. And I think that's really important, to start with a positive note and to end with a positive note, and to thank everybody. Thank you. Because before, when you can bring little treats into the office and see each other, have lunch together, talk and mingle and laugh and things like that, can't do that so much. Now you can't do it at all, really. So you have to find creative ways to appreciate and get the work done and get those deadlines, and keep moving forward. There's a wonderful program. It's called the VIP Media Mastery Program. They're giving complimentary coaching sessions for people to look their best and sound like a pro on camera. And that's what we really need right now during this, COVID-19. And it's all temporary, but to really know how to do this. So I would like to give you their email. It's first of all, it's Ray and Maria
Mhm.
Dupre. The email is team at vipshowcase.com. Okay. Contact them, tell them Melanie sent you, and they will take care of you and they will help you to learn step by step what it takes to be a pro during this time and to love it and to really enjoy it and find your passion doing it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. So, for our listeners out there who might be interested in complimentary workshops in communication, please
Mhm.
do email team, that's TEAM, at vipshowcase.com, and just let them know that Melanie Lococo with USD has referred you.
Yes,
Melanie, thank you so much for sharing this valuable resource with our listeners. Thank
my
you once again.
pleasure. I learned so much and got so much value out of it that I need to share.
Thank you for giving back.
Thank you, Dee.
Very appreciated. And on a final note, based on your vast experience, across industries and sectors and locations, what are some ways that individuals can repurpose their careers during this time?
Yes, well, repurposing is, a very important and relevant topic, isn't it? Right. So repurpose. So the word I'm kind of a linguist. So repurpose is to
Reinvent,
repurpose.
repurpose. Mhm.
Yes, return to your purpose in life. Okay, so for instance, that a lot of people around, our time, my time, are retiring, and so we call it. I learned this from Ken Blanchard. He says, don't retire, refire. So find out where your passion is. Find out what you would love to do, and always contribute. And we stay young that way. Now, what I would say for this repurposing, because I really thought about it, is that uh, it's an inside job. Okay. So, what I would suggest is that everybody take some time for themselves and to close their eyes and focus on their heart and take some deep breaths and get into a place of groundedness, feet flat on the floor, and focus on the heart and recall a time when they were young, and it could even be recently too, but a time when they were very happy doing what they love to do. So when you, as a child, I loved practicing with my brother, pretending we were interviewers on the radio, and he'd interview me and I'd interview him, kind of like what we're doing now.
Mhm.
And so from that experience as a child, I then started doing as an adult. So, what I recommend when you're repurposing, when you're reinventing yourself, is go back, spend a little time and go back to the time when you were younger. And what are those things that you love to do? Uh, were you in nature? Did you love nature? Were you really interested in like in insects and things like that? Did you like
Mhm.
to read? Did you like to help people? And those kinds of things. Then what happens is then you can find out where you might want to work and serve, because life is chiefly service. Then you go and you find it out and find out your passion, like you mentioned, Dee.
Mhm.
So when you're repurposing yourself, go to that place when you were the happiest, or that place where it brought you joy, and then
Mhm.
do that.
I love that. And it's just a beautiful way to end this lovely conversation, too. Just finding our inner child, right? To lead
Yes.
a life of purpose, passion, and
Yes.
service.
Yes.
Melanie, it's been absolutely delightful chatting with you. I have enjoyed every moment of this inspirational talk. Thank you so much for your insights and for sharing your beautiful journey with all of us.
Thank you, Dee, and thank you so much for inviting me.